I read more of this book. This is like the sixth time I'm showing this book now. My Life by Bill Clinton, and I just have more takeaways or get to know more about his political life. The first takeaway I will talk about is that Bill Clinton is married when he's 29 in 1975. How he did it is that Hillary saw a house and she really likes it. And then when Hillary was away, he went to bought the house. And then he took Hillary to the house when Hillary went to visit him. And he's like, "Oh, look, I bought the house you like. So do you want to marry me and living there together? Since I cannot live here alone." And then Hillary have no choice but to agree to marry him. And that's how they got married. So after 30 years of marriage, this is what he thought about marriage. I would quote him. "Hmm. Marriage, with all its magic and misery, its contentments and disappointments, remains a mystery." So that's what he thought about it, and what he thought about his and Hillary's marriage is this is what he says: "A relationship that might not ever be perfect, but will certainly never be boring." So that's what he thought about their marriage. And then around that time, he also had some other thoughts about how people feel about life. So this is what he said: "Some wants to be great, others to be good and do good. Whether we succeed or fail, we are still going to die." He had like a pretty good understanding to it because all three of his dad has died, so he really has a thorough understanding of death. And then there was a time when voodoo is becoming really popular. Like everybody's talking about it. So this is what he thought about it. He says, "I've always been fascinated by the way different cultures try to make sense of life, nature." So that's what he thought of it, and he talks about like how we think about higher being too, but that's like too many words to squeeze in a screen. But he's a Christian. He believes in God, but he's open to get to know about other things. So he stays curious and see other perspectives, but without compromising his own beliefs. So and then he went to run for attorney general, and all the people who worked for him in 1974 are willing to go again with him with this campaign. And this time, the law student that he taught and some Democratic activist is rooting for him and helping him as well. So he got more help. One thing that stood out to me is one event at Blytheville and Osceola. This is what he said: "Most people who met me either were against me or didn't know who I was and didn't care to learn. Still, I shook every available hand." So this is like his personality always shines through. Like he's very like he's not very like overly blunt. He have a strong belief, but he's kind of rounded when it comes to interacting with people. Like he's completely a different style than Trump. Trump is like really blunt, and but Clinton is not. He stood for what he believes, but he's able to like accept how like different views and how people is different from him and people don't like him, and he's able to like swallow it and like shake everyone's hand. He's like maybe he's from a more humble background, shown that he's like a wolf that's hungry for every opportunity. And while Trump is loaded, and then he's more like, oh, I'm just gonna say what I feel. I don't know, this is my analysis. What do you feel? You can like have your own interpretations. But he did win the attorney general position, so he did win it. And afterwards, he worked on another campaign for someone else, and he and Hillary together finished their final teachings. And then in 1976, in the end of 1976, they got some office space and hired around 20 lawyers, and among them 25% is women and 20% is black. This number at that time is unheard of. So Clinton's again very inclusive. And at that time, Bill Clinton's annual salary, is $26,500. And he says Hillary got hired by a law firm and is paid even more than that. And he was the attorney general. He did a good job at these things: criminal cases, improve quality of nursing home care, hold down utility rates, keep payphone call down to a dime when every other state has raised it to 25 cents. So, and at the same time, he broadened his contacts and strengthened his organization to prepare for more elections. He went to give speech and attend more events, and one of the events he went to is a preaching, like even though it's Christian, but everyone's so out of control, they will scream and they will like cry and yell. And he says that it reminds him of the voodoo practice. So maybe it's, I think it is charismatic Christian. They're not like understanding God's wisdom in the Bible, but they're more about like going out of control, being like really like overly excited and overly like aggressive expression. And then but then later on, he went to another church, and they were also a little bit charismatic because people like would cry under the preaching, and then they would speak in tongues, which I don't agree with, because in the Bible, speaking tongues is that you suddenly speak another language that people who spoke that language can understand you. So it's like a bit miraculous, like magical. It's not like making just other random syllables. So but somehow Bill Clinton is impressed with their they how they lived in faith, and that they accept any unwanted baby regardless of race and disability, and has a loving home for them. So that's what he likes and admires about these people. And while he was not re-elected as governor in 1980, but back then there was something going on. It's the child care standard. They want to have a good standard for child care, and he fight for religious child care place to not have to be certified as long as they um, maintain substantial compliance and allows regular inspections. So he fought for that because he was touched by this church that he went. And then he quoted this place. This is what he quoted: seeing people live their faith in a spirit of love towards all people, not just their own, is beautiful to behold. Yeah, so again, he's like he really appreciates, like, the Bible have many messages, but he appreciates how the Bible says to love your neighbors and love all people. He really appreciate this message. In 1977, a senator that I mentioned in my other video, which is mentioned in early in his book, Senator McClellan, which is the one with the iron will and the very ambitious and very angry, like very blunt, and then that senator, so he announced his retirement after 35 years in Senate and invite Clinton to be his successor. Well, he can't decide, but he can encourage Clinton to apply, and then other people can vote for him. But Clinton decided to go run for governor. And then here is in the 1978 governor campaign. So there is a few little stories. For example, once someone asked him, like a reporter asked him to talk about his thoughts on the death penalty, and he didn't say what he said, but apparently it made a story because he didn't answer it very well. And then he also went to a eating tomato competition, which is in a limited time to see how many tomatoes you can eat. And he got really sick afterwards because he ate too much tomatoes at once. And then, but it won him an election for some reason. Not elections, won him more votes for some reason. And then another thing that stood out is he had a campaign speech on his proposals for education and economic development, but there was an old lady that shouts, "What's your thoughts on ERA?" ERA stands for Equal Rights Amendment, and I searched it up. Maybe it's like really unimportant. They didn't explain like what it is. They just say like it runs from 1 to 1. I guess it's just so unimportant. And after a while, Clinton's like, okay, fine, I will talk about it. And this is what he said. Okay, I will talk about it. I'm for it and you're against it, but it won't do as much harm as you think or as much good as us who support it wish it would. Now let's get back to schools and jobs. So that's what he said. So at the age of 32, which is 1978, he has won and become a governor. So that's what happened in this chapters that I just read. So stay tuned. I'll read more of this book.